Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson. And today I want to do a slight continuation from my last lesson on the minor pentatonic scale. So what I want to show you is a different pattern. So this isn't, you may have heard of like the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale. This is not that per se. So what this is it's a sequence. It's the same notes that's in the sequence that we did last time, but they're just arranged differently. So instead of being like, like in a box pattern that's, going vertically across the fretboard, this is more stretched out to kind of go horizontally across the fretboard. And you're playing the same notes, but since they're arranged differently, it will cause you to play differently. Like I'll use this pattern if I'm doing things with like slides and stuff like that, because it's not just 2 notes per string. Some of the strings have 3 notes. So anyhow, it'll make all more sense when we go over it. So be sure to click on the link down below to get the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at this. All right, so we're going to do this in the key of E minor, so that way it just stays the same as what we were doing in the last lesson. So in the last lesson we did pattern number 1, so we started where an E was. We started here on the 12th fret, right? So now we're going to start on E, but we're going to start on E on the 7th fret of the A string. So the pattern starts there with your 3rd finger, and then from there we go to the 5th fret of the 4th string with your 1st finger, then the 7th fret of the 4th string with your 3rd finger, and then the 9th fret with your 3rd finger. So now from there we go to the G string, 7th fret, 1st finger, to the 9th fret with your 3rd finger. So far, same notes is over here, but we're just, like I said, we're arranging it differently. Alright, so once we get to the 3rd string, or when we're going to transition from there to the B string, you have to shift up a half step. So you always have to, when you're going from the G string to the B string, since it's tuned a half step lower, you have to compensate for that and go up a half step. So we ended on the G string on the 7th and then 9th fret. So the first note that's on the B string is on the 8th fret. So you're going to want to use your 1st finger, and then from there we go to the 10th fret with your 3rd finger, and then the 12th fret with your 3rd finger, and then to the 10th fret of the high E with your 1st finger, and then finally ending on the 12th fret of the high E. So you're going to do this entire sequence just with your 1st and 3rd finger, but there will be times that you do certain licks that you might use other fingers, but for practicing the scale, this is the way I recommend to do it. So again, starting here on the 7th fret of the A string. Now a couple of things to kind of help you to remember this is that the root note is on the 5th string on the A string. We don't play the low E at all. So they're just a single note, and then the next string has 3 notes, the next string has 2, the next one has 3, and the next has 2. So if you just remember that it's a pattern of 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 3 notes, then 2 notes. Okay, so these are the fingerings that I gave you for when we ascend it. So ascending, starting here again on the 7th fret of the A string, it's 3rd finger, going to the D string 1st, 3rd, 3rd, going to the G string 1st, 3rd, going to the B string 1st, 3rd, 3rd, going to the high E 1st, 3rd. Now when we descend it, we're going to, the fingering changes slightly. So when we descend it, so now I'm starting at the 12th fret on the high E with my 3rd finger, to the 10th with my 1st, now to the B string, 3rd finger 12th fret, 1st finger 10th, and now this is a string that has 3 notes. So now we're going to move down to the 8th fret but we're going to use our first finger. So ascending, you use your third to go up, but descending, you use your first to go down. And that's just so it puts your fingers in a more natural position to continue on with the scale. So we have, and then from there we go to the 9th fret of the G string. So again, we're having that half step compensation for the 2nd string being tuned a half step lower. So that's 9, 7, and then we go to the D string. 9, 7, 3 notes on this one. So now our first finger is going to go back to the 5th fret, and then finally ending on the 7th fret of the A string. So ascending, descending, all right. So one other thing I want to show you with this is how you can hook it to the pattern that we did last time, how you can connect them together so you can cover a larger area of the fretboard. So how that works is we start with pattern number 2 here, and we're going to, again, we're starting at the 7th fret on the A string because we're in the key of E. But again, this shape is movable, so it doesn't matter what key you're in, it's always going to be the same sequence. So we play this scale, we ascend it all the way to the top, and we end here on the 12th fret. So when you ascend pattern 2, the last note you get to is where your first finger will play for pattern number 1. So remember with pattern number 1, your first finger plays all of the same fret. So what you're going to want to do at this case is when you get up here is just shift up to the 2nd note on the high E in pattern number 1, which in this case is the 15th fret, and then that'll leave your first finger here on 12, where we end in pattern 2. And then just descend pattern 1. So the whole sequence is like this. Then after you can do it that way, then you want to practice it the opposite way. So start with pattern 2 and ascend it. The note that your first finger is on is the last note of pattern 2. So put your 3rd finger there and descend pattern 2. So what you want to do is practice it like that, so you're practicing going ascending and descending. So what we've done there is we're in the key of E, and we've went from the 5th fret all the way to the 15th fret. So we've covered a pretty good chunk of the fretboard just by knowing 2 patterns. In a future lesson, I will do some licks and stuff that are based off of both of these patterns and how you can kind of hook them together and stuff. Alright, so I hope that you found that informative and useful. If you liked the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment if there's something you'd like to see covered in a future lesson by myself or one of the other instructors at GuitarControl.com. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.